Hello friend! How are you doing today? My name is Mary, this is Happilyeveresch, and I have another book unhaul for you all. Rhymes. I did a little clean out mostly of this little shelf that's sitting behind me. Those are all of the books that I own and have read. All of these unread. But I needed to do a little clean out because these shelves are starting to become stuffed to the brim, and I really was compelled to only keep books that I really enjoyed, that I would want to share with my children, or that I would want to loan out to other people. Like this shelf I really want to be curated to me and to reflect who I am as a reader. And so I did a big clean out of these books and only kept the ones that I really loved, and then also pulled a few more from my other shelves as well. So let's just hop on into it. We will start with books that I have read and decided that I don't want to keep any longer, and then we'll kind of move on to books that I just don't feel compelled to read anymore. All right, so first one, I have The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I went through a little phase where I thought that I was a fantasy reader, and while I do quite enjoy fantasy and fantastical elements, this book series just, I think I made myself like it more because I knew how beloved it was. It was kind of I was swayed a little bit by the masses, but the longer I sit away from this, the more I take issue with kind of the portrayal of women in this and the way that the story is written. And it's also an unfinished series, and while I probably enjoyed this enough to read the second book, I don't feel like reading the second book when there's not a third book coming. So I'm gonna give this away. I think someone else will be quite excited to find a copy of The Name of the Wind somewhere, whether at the used bookstore or at the thrift store. So this one is going away. Next is a recent read that I picked up at Goodwill for a couple dollars, and that's The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. This was a lot of fun, solid 3-star read, but just not a book I want to keep on my shelf, not a favorite. So again, it's going back to the thrift store. We love that recycling, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Another book I read a couple years ago and enjoyed it, but not a favorite, is The Trouble with Goats and Sheep by Joanna Cannon. Again, this one I feel like I wanted to love so much because I know it's so beloved, but it just ended up being okay for me, and that's okay. I also have High Rising by Angela Thirkle. This book, I really struggled with the portrayal of the family and the way that certain people groups are portrayed in this. I didn't like the language, and while I understand that you can't always judge past writings in your like modern setting, but this one just like did not sit well with me. I did not like a lot of the language that was used, and I'm just not gonna read any more Angela Thirkle. I just don't really feel like she's for me. Like Rich People Problems, I don't care. So this one I kept because it was beautiful and it was like a modern classic, but I didn't really enjoy it, and I don't want to keep it on my shelves. Another one that was a lot of fun when I read it, a fun, quick little mystery, but not one that I need to keep, is The Persian Pickle Club by Sandra Dallas. It was a lot of fun. It was a 3-star solid good read, but not one I'm going to reread. For a book that I absolutely love, but I own 2 copies of, and I don't need 2 copies of, is Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. This is one of my favorite nonfiction books, but as you can see, I don't have the dust jacket, and I own a copy where I do have the dust jacket, so this one is going to go back to the store, and hopefully someone will pick it up and read it and love it as much as I did. All right, now we're getting into some YA middle grade fantasy that I enjoyed when I read it, but I don't need to own the books. So we have The Winner's Curse by Marie Rutowski. This was my favorite in the series. It kind of went down and down for me as I continued, but it was so much fun. I enjoyed it, but I'm not going to reread it, and I don't need to keep it. We also have Six of Crows I enjoyed it. By Leigh Bardugo. I enjoyed it, but again, not one I'm going to reread. I'm probably not going to continue on with the series because I don't care that much. This book is really heavy on the action, which just like, it kind of turns my brain to mush. Like, I don't care. Yeah, so it's just not one I'm going to keep. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I like the characters, but I'm not compelled to continue on. And it's such a gorgeous book. Someone else needs to have this and enjoy it because I'm not appreciating it as much as I could. Also, this is the second book in the School for Good and Evil, A World Without Princes. I adored the first book, so I bought the second one because I was having trouble getting this at my library a couple years ago. I didn't live in the same town and the library system wasn't as good, so I like needed to know what happened. And this book just didn't live up to the first book's hype for me. Yeah, this wasn't my favorite. I wasn't compelled to continue on. And so I'm going to get rid of this as well. And then last but not least, this seems to be a theme in YA fantasy series, but we have The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, which I really enjoyed this book. I thought this book was so cool. I didn't really like the second and the third book, and I'm not compelled to pick up the fourth. So while I really enjoyed this book, like, not enjoying the rest of the series kind of like sullied this one in my mind. And again, someone is going to find this and love it and be so excited. And I want to give that excitement back. There's no point in keeping books that I don't love. So while this one was fun and I really enjoyed it, I have very fond memories of reading it on audiobook on my way to Big Bend National Park. It's just not one I need to keep. So this one's going too. And then last but not least, a classic that I've read, I don't know if I ever finished it. I got very far, like at least 3/4 of the way through. It's Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. I have no intention of finishing the last fourth of this book or starting over from the beginning. It just wasn't compelling to me, and again, I don't need to keep it just because it's a classic. So I'm going to also be getting rid of this book. Alright, and then for a few books that I've pulled from my shelves, we have The Lying Game by Ruth Ware. I picked this up at a library book sale not that long ago. It was an ex-library copy, you can see. I don't think it ever went into circulation. It didn't have the plastic on it. I'm not that interested in thrillers, and if I do read Ruth Ware, I don't think it's going to be this one because I've heard not great things about it, and I think Ruth Ware is an author that I can read from the library. I don't need to own her books because I don't think they're going to be favorites and I'm going to want to keep them forever. I also have a very huge family saga here that I've been hemming and hawing on whether I want to keep it, and that's Fall on Your Knees by Anne Marie MacDonald. I own another one of her books and I don't feel like I need to keep both. They're both very large. I chose to keep the other one because it's a floppy paperback and I'm much more likely to read from that copy than I am this. So isn't this cover gorgeous? So I'm not saying no to this book. I'm just saying not you and not anytime soon. So yes, this one's I'm a little conflicted about it, but I've had it for years. I've never picked it up. And I don't need 2 huge books by an author that I don't even know if I'm going to read. You know what I mean? So this is the one that is going, even though it's very beautiful. Okay, I'm not talking myself out of it. So same with this author, Jennifer McMahon, The Night Sisters. I own 2 of her books. I don't need to own 2 of her books because I haven't read one. So we're going to start out with one, and then we'll see. I don't tend to be someone who reads like an author's whole backlist. So I read both of these synopses. I read both of them, and this is the one that I decided I didn't want to keep. So again, someone else will be thrilled. Another thriller, The Perfect Girl by Gilly Macmillan. Might be super fun. Thrillers just really aren't my thing. Like, I don't ever love thrillers, and I think that if I want to read a thriller, I need to get it from the library, and then if I do love it, I can add it to my shelves. But they just don't become favorite books. They don't become books that I own. And so I don't think I need to keep this one. And last but certainly not least, To Be Sung Underwater by Tom McNeill. I have no idea what this book is about. It doesn't have a dust jacket, so I don't need to keep it. Alright, that is my unhaul. That is everything that I am taking to the used bookstore and then going to the thrift store. So I hope they bring joy to some other people. I thrift most of my books or buy them secondhand, so when they just don't feel to be like serving a purpose in my life anymore, I'm really okay with letting them go back into circulation and letting them be a joy for someone else to find. So thank you for watching. I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings, especially because a lot of these I got rid of this time were ones that I've read. So I'd love to know if you think I'm crazy, if you totally disagree, or like, yeah, let's just chat. I'm totally fine with civil disagreement. I love it. We love it. So, all right, friends. Talk to you later. Bye.